You're watching the Randy Alvarez Marketing Report. I'm Randy Alvarez. Today's topic, the future of dentistry, where it's going. And with us, we have an expert on the topic. He is the author of over 7 books on the business of dentistry. With us, we have Dr. Marc Cooper. Dr. Marc Cooper, welcome to the program.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Randy.
Pleasure. Now, is it 7 books?
It is 7 books, yes, and we're working on the 8th actually at this moment in time.
For people that don't know about you and your business or your books, tell us a little bit about your consulting practice. I mean, who's the typical client? And what are the different services you offer?
Good question.
Okay. I'm on a roll today already.
You are. It's unbelievable. So I don't have a typical client. I have a range of clients. The clients that I have are usually dentists. I have group practices. I have large group practices. I have MSOs. I have insurance companies. I have biotechnical firms. I have clients throughout the supply chain in the area of dentistry. So I could say the typical client, though, is one that's committed to success.
All right.
That really wants to produce the result in the area that they're in, that's got a driving intention to make a difference with their lives and with their work. So in some ways, there's a commonality, but they're in different silos.
Okay, and you offer month-to-month coaching?
I offer month-to-month coaching. We offer formal programs. We offer in-house work. We offer work by the internet. We have a pretty broad range of vehicles that we can deliver our consulting with.
And you wrote these 7 books. I mean, a lot of different titles. And I said, what's the most important book? In this economy, which book is the most important?
I think the Mastering the Business of Practice, that one.
This is it right here.
That's it right there.
And you say that you tell, if you're going to accept a client, they have to read 1 book a month.
That's right.
Not just your books.
Not just my books. We're big fans of Jim Collins, who I'm sure you're aware of, at Good to Great, Great by Choice, Built to Last. We also use Seth Godin. We use a tremendous number of books. I want the clients to have other vehicles to listen and learn from, other masters.
Okay.
Because it gives them a different perspective of what they're working on.
Do you find that the most successful practitioners are the ones that are the most coachable?
Yes.
I find that with dealing with doctors across the board.
Right.
They read business books. They study business. They study influence.
Correct.
They're very coachable.
Right, right. And that, if you say what's typical about the clients I work with, whether it be in a third party, a biotechnical firm, or a small concierge practice, that would be the commonality is that they're great learners, they're coachable.
Okay, you made a bold statement on the telephone, and I can't resist bringing this up. But you said, I said, how are you different? I tried to say, I mean, how are you different than other consultants? And you said, number one, you're in the transformation business. I'm paraphrasing. But one thing I won't paraphrase, you said you could see the future.
Right.
Tell me about that.
Okay.
You could see the future of dentistry. You believe that.
I believe that. So my background is such that I've been in a number of other industries for 10 to 15 years.
Okay.
So I've worked in healthcare, I've worked in hospitals, I've worked in Fortune 500 companies. So I've looked from a different perspective, and when you're out there in a different perspective, you can look from the outside in, and that gives you a piece of the future that you're able to do that.
Okay.
And
all right.
so I have a capacity to see what's coming. I can predict the tsunami.
Is that right?
Yeah.
You can predict the future.
Right.
All right. Okay. So
now, specifically, probably not, but in general, or the things that are going to change, absolutely.
Okay, the business of dentistry. Okay, so how has it changed, briefly, where it's been, where it is now, and definitely where it's going, as you see it?
Okay. For the last 100 years, it's been small, solo practice, or maybe one partner. And that was sufficient in the system or the context that it was in. The context has changed, and by the way, context is decisive. So the context has changed, the system has changed, and solo or small partner practices will no longer have the viability that they did in the old context.
Okay. And in the old days, I guess any dentist could just put up a sign and they would get business.
Correct.
And that's changing.
That's changed.
Okay. And so where it is today is what?
Today is a mix where the dentists are holding desperately on to the past, hoping that things will get better, which they're not going to get better.
Interesting.
Okay, so the change is dramatic. It's irreversible. When was the last time you saw a payphone?
It's been a while.
Okay, well, what happened?
It is outdated.
Right. Same thing is going to happen in dentistry with solo practice. So what's going to occur is that the economy, the system is going to call for a much larger capacity to treat more patients at a better cost, which can't be done by solo practitioners.
And you say they're hanging on to the past.
Right.
Elaborate on that. Like they're resistant to change.
Well, we were in front of an audience, and I have a program called Future Strategies, which is preparing dentists for the future, to give them the news about what's happening, about the systems, about the context, about their new competition, which is dramatic, by the way.
Yeah.
And I will tell you that the anger in the room is pretty significant. The volume of responses at Q&A are not. I don't get a lot of love, Randy, in this world.
I mean, are you one of these guys that actually has to tell them the truth, that if they want things to change, they have to change?
Right.
And they don't want to hear that?
No, they do not. Well,
some of them don't want to hear
change causes upset. So people don't want to be upset. And the first slide in my PowerPoint presentation is the one about the difference between the messenger and the message, because they really need to get the message. It's altered. It's changed. It's not going to go back to the way it was.
Okay, now you have a big success rate. You want to talk about that?
Sure. I mean, I have a success rate up and down the scale. You don't stay in this business unless you're successful. It's usually word of mouth that generates the referrals and the clients coming to you. So from solo practice to group practice to what I do, yes, I'm pretty proud of my record, actually.
Okay, let's jump into the future of dentistry. Where is it going, and what are you doing to prepare dentists for that?
That's a great question. The future of dentistry is large, managed group practice.
Okay.
Right now, dentists, if you go onto Facebook or if you go onto LinkedIn or you go into the conversations, dentists are all anti-managed group practice.
Okay.
So it's going there, and they don't want to go there. Now you have a huge...
Well, they like working alone.
They're eagles. Eagles fly alone.
Okay.
But when you look at the amount of revenue generated in dentistry, this year was $106 billion.
Is that right?
Yeah, a remarkable amount, more than the GDP of many, many countries. And when you take a look at the amount of money that's spent on dentistry, it's growing at about 5% to 6% per year. It's fairly recession resistant. And so when the capital markets are looking at dentistry, or other places to put their money, they see dentistry as a good place to put their money.
Okay.
And they say and they see that larger entities have a greater profit margin than the smaller entities and have a capacity to generate a greater market share. So the money from capital is beginning to move into dentistry, into group practices.
It'll force these little guys out. Kind of like what or Costco
or Walmart
is doing.
Correct.
And you believe that's going to happen? How soon before this
Well, it's
happens?
happening.
It's happening right now.
There's entities called MSOs that have 300 to 500 practices, acquiring or building 70 to 100 practices per year. It's ubiquitous. It's everywhere.
So the dentist as the entrepreneur, first off, they have to learn about marketing and advertising sometimes, management and all of these things. And now they're dealing with, a partnership. I talked to some guys going into this, anticipating, you coming on the show, and they say, Randy, but, sharing the profits and, after-tax profits, and what happens if the patients like me over the guy that I hire? I mean, how is that all done? Now, you lay all of this out for them.
Pretty much.
I mean, you put together a structure and systems.
We have a program, interestingly enough, we just started a program called Get Smart.
Okay.
Do you remember the Get Smart program?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have the phone and the shoe and everything. It's okay. And the Get Smart program is a transformational piece where we take people who think I and enable them to think we. And that's a very difficult thing for a dentist to make that transition. When you work in corporate, and that's another thing.
Can it be easy, by the way? If you have the right structure, the right foundation, the right know-how, your premarital counseling, you say that you do.
Right.
With the relationship, can it be easy? Can it be an easy transition to bringing on a partner or two partners?
When you have money in the game, and you have ego in the game, and you have psychology in the game, I haven't found it to be easy unless the commitment is larger than for the individual. If it's about something beyond them, the answer to your question is yes. When you take a look at great
What does that mean, what you just said?
Well,
if they're in it for the right reasons, not just to make money, but they want to help people?
Yeah. If you take a look at Zappos, if you take a look at Intel, if you take a look at Starbucks, if you take a look at all those, they're about something beyond the individual.
Yeah.
They're about making a difference, about making an impact, about generating something that leaves a legacy. If they have that kind of stuff in their game, yeah, the transition is easy.
Are those the people you're looking for?
Those are people who are looking for me.
They're looking for you. Where do I find them? Right. You know, I heard you say this. I saw some clips with you, and you were talking to, I don't know, looked like 100 dentists, but you said in this room there's, $50 million or $20 million. And I really don't know exactly what you do, and I haven't read your book. I'm going to read your book, okay? Maybe
good.
I should have read it first, but I just arrived today.
It's okay.
But so like a periodontist, an oral surgeon, a general dentist, you show them how to get together.
Right.
To work together.
Yes, I do.
Like form a company.
Yes, I do. So when I'm doing these individual interactions for the future strategies, I have people raise their hand and I say, well, how much money do you think is in this room? And people look around, and most practices are between $800 to $1.2 million at this point. I say, how many employees do you think you have? And what do you think your gross is? And what do you think your expenses are? So if you just put this thing together with a $20 million company, 140 employees, you've got a substantial amount of volume behind you that could really be generative in a different way than it is. They don't hire executive talent. They don't have the money in the small business, but in the larger businesses, they're bringing in CEOs, they're bringing in CFOs, they're bringing in HR, they're bringing in potency that small businesses cannot do. And that's why the larger businesses, that's why the group practices are going to gain momentum and grow in the future of dentistry.
And for those sitting around waiting or just ignoring the problem, right? They're just not looking that way.
They are blind.
And one day,
well, if you take a look in Scottsdale and Phoenix, more than 60 practices have gone out of business.
Is that right?
That's right.
So these numbers are happening all over the place.
That's right.
Then, I told you, you said, Randy, you deal with some of the top percent,
right?
Top 5% of dentists, but I have regular guys. But my most successful clients are those group practices that have figured it all out.
Right now, that is the ideal. The ones that you're working with, about 16 docs, and there's larger complexes they have the capacity of economy of scale. They have the capacity for getting good and high-paying executive talent, so they can generate that. But even those are going to be a little bit threatened as these larger ones begin to expand.
Is that right? Now, insurance. How's insurance going to play a role in the future of dentistry?
Right now,
because I know you could talk a long time about this.
I could talk a lot.
That's look. You've written 7 books, right? So I guess this is a big conversation. So we'll jump around. But how is dentistry going to be affected, and what can you do about it?
Okay, so that's a different question than you just asked.
It's 2 questions.
Okay, I'll take the first question first.
All right.
So insurance companies are under the same influence as medical insurance companies, and the purchaser now, the employer, wants to know what I'm getting for my dollar.
Okay.
And now they're asking the dental insurance companies to give them that same thing. So there's an influence about results and outcomes that never had to be reported before by the dentist through the third party. And then they've changed their whole economic system. So we could talk a lot about that. 57% of the people in this country have some form of dental insurance. And that's growing. That's not descending, that's growing. So the influence of these people is very strong.
All right. Now people want to, they're watching this and they want to get involved. You offer like a free consultation to find out if it's a good fit.
I want to know who I'm dealing with.
Okay.
If the person is up to a game worth playing, I want to speak to them about that. If it's only about their survival, if they're really, there's other ways to go about doing this, I want to talk to them. But what I'm really looking for is a cadre of people up to making a difference, changing the face of dentistry.
How are you different than other consultants? And what frustrates you? I mean, I have frustrations with, guys. I feel like they're taking advice from people without a proven track record.
Right.
They're taking advice from people that have no wins under their belt or very little wins under their belt. And just it's like taking weight loss advice from the circus fat lady. And I see that happening all the time. So you're a guy with some proven track record. What frustrates you about what's going on in the industry as far as consultants?
Oh, boy, that was one that I think they are telling them things that they want to hear, not what they have to hear.
Really?
Yes.
Give me an example.
Oh, you can have a $1.2 million practice. You can just do it. Just follow my formula. It's like the tonic. You drink it, you'll get healthy, you'll be fast.
Okay.
It's not occurring. If you take a look at we just did a national survey. And the national survey shows that The revenues are down, personal income's down, they're working harder, and they have more stress than ever before.
Yeah.
That's what it shows. So if all the consultants were right, I wouldn't get that kind of report back from the survey.
Do you think the consultants are BSing the clients, or the consultants truly believe what they're telling them? What do you think?
Oh, man.
I mean, you could tell me.
Yeah, I could tell you. I think what happens is they're trying.
I think they don't know any better. Sometimes
I think they only have one tune to play. And you asked me what's different about my consulting is I have a whole orchestra that I can use. They have one instrument and they have one tune that they're
you
playing.
fix them. You say I transform them.
Them being the dentist,
the doctor,
and their staff. That's what I do. And I define transformation as an ability to think beyond your past, beyond your identity, and beyond your personality, to think new thoughts, to give you a new way to see the future.
Do you get them to think bigger?
Yes.
Larger goals? Do you help enlarge their vision in a way?
I would say that I have a capacity to do that, because when you take you out of the picture and you put in what you want to create with your life, there's always a largeness to it that people are afraid to go for. So I enable people to go for it.
Is that right? Okay, so and this is part of your ongoing coaching.
Right.
And do people use you like for a year, 2 years, 3 years?
I have some clients that have been with me 22, 23 years.
Is that right? And describe that relationship to me.
It's like a brother.
Like on a monthly basis, you get together, talk about goals?
Well, now some of these people have gone from single provider to multi-group practice with me. They've taken this particular path.
Okay.
They have 7 or 8 locations. So I engage in various ways throughout the growth period that they're doing.
Is that right? And from a business standpoint, and they're reading 1 book a month, and they get inspired, and they take action. Now, so you've had people routinely, every other month, once a month, that make that transition from a solo practitioner to a group practice?
Not a huge majority. That's why I've developed these courses.
Okay.
To be able to enhance the velocity of doing that. So I have a course called, as I said, Get Smart, and we have 25, 30 people in it. Then we break them up into learning groups. The learning groups begin to operate as a board of directors, and I train them how to think like a director, not like an owner of a small business, but like a director of a major for-profit corporation. And then they work together, and they have to come up. This is the interesting part. At the end of the Get Smart program, they have to present to a CEO of a large company, a CFO, and a capitalist. And they have to generate a model or a case study to present that's going to do $25 million a year in business.
Okay.
And so they have to go, it's like American Idol. They have to go in front of these judges as a small group, and they have to present. Now the prize is that this small group will deal with the prize winner in terms of capitalizing their future. So there's a lot at stake in this game. It's really.
Who would you like to see? Now, are you getting more of a younger crowd doing this? Or, what about the guy that's been in business 30 years?
Well, I'm
too old to change, he says, even though he's young. He's 60.
It's not atypical. Those guys are looking for an exit strategy. And the exit strategy right now, there's a certain window that's open where these large corporations are buying or purchasing dental practices. So right now, they have a pretty good out if they're in the right location and they're in the right vector for these. So there's the younger guys are freaked out. $250,000, $300,000 of student debt. Practices can't be, the number of practices being sold are going this way, not going this way. So the ownership is less than 20% of dentists getting out of dental school, one ownership. So it's not a seller's market. It's it's different.
But the good news is you are convinced you could turn it around. If they're willing to take the steps.
I am committed, and I am convinced that I can turn it around.
Do you secretly want to change the world of dentistry? Do you think you're the answer? I think I read somewhere.
I know that could have been my sister, but I don't know. I think that I have a way of generating people to be able to see and act in a way that changes the future. It's about them, not about me. And I've done this before, so I have
over and over and over.
Over and
What's
over.
the nicest thing you can tell me that somebody said about you, a practitioner? Some of the things
it just happened actually this week. So I have a client in Phoenix, Arizona, one of the people who's been with me over 20 years.
Okay.
And what he does is he sends some of his people through my programs. And he told me that when he talked to this individual, the thing that he got thanked for was sending him to me. It was the best thing that ever happened in his professional career.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so the future of dentistry is promising. I hear some guys say, "Oh, Randy, I'm telling you the future." But you're optimistic about the future.
I think the future is fabulous. You know, it's by 2019, it's going to be a $180 billion industry.
Because there's still, what, I don't know, 50 million, 100 million people that don't even get care.
Right.
So as access to care starts happening more and more,
right, there's going to be
there won't be enough dentists.
Well, there's 7 new dental schools, and they're pushing them out, and we could talk about dental education. But the number of dentists per capita, the population is growing faster than the number of dentists that are being produced. So there's more pressure, and there's more market share available for dentists than ever before.
Okay, so how do they get involved with you?
I use the typical thing: go to my website, type in, go to contact information, send me an email. We'll set up a conversation if that's something that they like to do, and then we'll talk for 20 minutes and see where they're at in terms of their future.
Okay, good. You know, I think everybody, this is, I think everybody should at least, people that feel like they're in a slump or they want to know more, why not take a free, because you're going to tailor your presentation to their situation.
Right, that's
a
correct.
little bit, right?
Correct.
And they'll either see it or not see it.
And it will either be a fit or it won't be a fit. It will either click or we won't click. But
and you'll speak at their conferences, their study clubs.
Right.
And
I do that now.
You do it all the time.
Yeah.
You spend every week you're speaking somewhere?
I'm trying to get it down to once a month.
And social media, just to touch on it, because I know that you refer to one of the people that I refer to, Rita Zamora, but you think too much emphasis is being placed right now on social media? Facebook and Twitter and things like that?
I haven't seen the results being produced that have been promised by social media. They talk about it in a way that it will generate a huge network of word-of-mouth marketing when it's appropriately done. And every dentist is buying off on this. You know, they're afraid that they're not going to be in the game.
Yeah.
So, but I haven't seen
the return on investment yet.
The ROI on it yet.
Okay, but it's there's only one guy that I know that does well on Facebook. Just one person.
Well, I have a number.
And that's me.
Okay.
By the way, I don't sell anything on my thing, but I just show, I'll show a picture of you. You know, people say, how do I get involved? This and that. But
orthodontists do brilliantly at it, by the way. They have figured out the game because they have games. They have kids that use their market uses Facebook. So they have figured it out. So has Pito, has done a pretty good job.
Okay.
It's the people over 45 that are not used to using Facebook, that when they use it, they're not used to making decisions. It's still relationship based when you decide on your healthcare provider.
And okay, so your books, and the one right now, if they want to know more about you, Mastering Your Practice.
Right.
Everybody needs to read this. Is this in dental schools?
It actually is in 2 dental schools right now, and it's overseas, and it's been translated.
Why aren't dental schools teaching them entrepreneurship?
They don't have time.
They should offer.
I was involved in teaching a program for dental students, and their capacity to take all this information in. Information without experience has no power.
Okay.
So they have to be in the game. They have to have something at stake. You know, when you're in dental school, practice looks way over there, but when you're in practice and you really have your bills to pay, your staff to do, then this stuff has a deeper penetrating ability.
Do you give them advice on marketing and advertising and things like that?
I'm really clear about word-of-mouth marketing.
Okay.
So that's where I spend my time training and developing people to be able to speak with patients directly, to have them see the value that they got out of going to the practice.
You know, there's internal marketing, external marketing. And I told somebody the other day, they said, Randy, it was a big, there's no doubt about it. The largest hospitals in the world do external marketing.
Right. The
largest practices do external marketing.
Right.
No doubt. There's no question about that. And he said, well, my practice manager said it's all about internal marketing. And I said, well, thank goodness that your practitioner is not running Mayo Clinic, who spends about $9 to $15 million a year on external marketing. But I also think that you have to find something that works, and you have to hire an expert
Right.
that is giving you good advice. I
Right.
mean, I have clients that do $300,000 a month. I don't know if I told you from my show.
Right.
That do very well, and so I do think there's a place for external marketing, but hire an expert.
Right, and that's what I would refer to you with. I mean, I don't have the expertise. I don't have the background of experience.
You've worked with well over 1,500 dentists
right
on their business, and I think that. And by the way, I told you this. My problem is this. Here's my problem. I'll tell you my problem. My show, let's say in Arizona, you mentioned Arizona or Phoenix or whatever a few times. I got a guy there. It delivers them 30 new patients a month.
Right.
Okay, but. So the Wellness Hour we know delivers that, but the biggest problem, and I tell the clients, and I think I scare them away, is you've got to fix your business first.
Right.
You know, and that's where a consultant comes in,
Right,
somebody that really knows what they're doing, to help them with the management of the calls, the whole patient process, creating this wonderful experience, so that way you do get referrals and things like that. So you do all that though. I mean, you as far as the structure, the systems.
But again, there's an old Russian expression: "The fish stinks from the head." So I want to work with the dentist to be able to do and see what there is to do in the practice. Many consultants come in and try to work from the bottom up, and they go in and work with the staff. But if the doctor doesn't change, it doesn't make any difference.
I agree with that 100%. So you help transform the doctor.
Exactly.
Is that the part they don't want to hear the most? Of what you do, they just want the quick fix. Look, just give me the systems, give me the structure, show me how to set up a group practice.
You've nailed it right on the head. That's exactly what they want. They want, where's the switch? They don't realize that that wherever they go, there they are. That the problem is with them, not with others. That if they see the world differently, then they'll take different actions in the world, and their actions they take will be more productive.
Do you think you broaden their view of what's possible in their lives?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People who work with me are not the same human being.
They're never going to be the same.
Never.
Is that right?
That's right.
You're in the transformation business.
I am in the transformation business.
So after working with you, they become a better father, a better friend, all of those things, you think?
It's
a bold statement.
A bold statement. I would say that their ability to handle the issues in life, their problems in life, and their concerns in life, not only does it change in the area of their dental practice, but it changes throughout their life.
Good, good. Nowadays I hear people bad-mouthing overachievers. It's associated with ADD and heart disease and everything else. But these dentists are all overachievers. That's why they made it through dental school. So it's okay, by definition, to be an overachiever. It's okay to have a thriving practice and help people. Right?
I don't, overachiever has a negative connotation.
Exactly. But they are overachievers in a way.
I just think that they're tremendously committed and dedicated people to their profession, to their families.
Okay.
They really want it to work.
Biggest mistake they're making right now in this economy that you see?
Not listening.
Not listening to who?
To the facts about what's occurring in the dental industry, and to make decisions where they can reshape their assets and their talent set to be successful in the future. That's the biggest mistake.
Like in marriage, I interviewed a marriage counselor, and they were saying people ignore the problems in the marriage. They ignore them, and then one day it's over.
Right.
They say, I'm done.
Right.
And so it's like that in business.
Exactly.
They're ignoring the future of dentistry.
Right.
Is that how you see it?
I had a very good friend who went bankrupt once. His name was Charlie. I said, Charlie, how'd you go bankrupt? He said, first slow, then fast. That's what's happening in dentistry. It's been slowly happening over the last 15, 20 years. You could smell it, you could see it, you could taste it. But dentists refused to see it because the income was sufficient where they didn't have to pay attention. Now that the third parties or the insurance companies are squeezing down, now that the patients are going, the economic situation we're in 2012, if I could date myself, people are looking, most people go, when they call a dentist office, says, do you take my insurance? Mm-hmm. If they don't go. So things have radically changed in terms of dentistry. It's not out of pocket anymore. People don't have that kind of money. I often ask a dentist, could you afford your own dentistry?
It's a great question.
Yeah. Could you? I mean, that's a significant amount of money. So, and then there's the whole area where prevention is really not well practiced in dentistry, although they've done a remarkable job, and I need to acknowledge the entire industry about caries and about cosmetics. They've done a fabulous job. But still, half the population has got dental issues and dental diseases, which now they can see are associated with systemic issues like hypertension and diabetes. And as the healthcare costs go up, the pressure is going to be placed on dentistry to do something about it so that they can reduce that
So you
healthcare
help
cost.
give them advice in that department?
Of course,
with
yeah.
their
And I have
practice?
clients I have clients where I'm working with that are actually working on that issue. How do we do that?
When you practice, you were a periodontist, is that right?
I was.
Okay, good. Periodontist smarter than all the other...
If you ask a periodontist.
That's what they tell you. I want to thank you for coming to the show. Great stuff.
Thank you very
So
much.
if they want to
Randy.
get involved, it's a consultation on the telephone.
Right.
And obviously your website. Start with your book, Mastering
the Business Practice, right.
Maybe I'm going to read this and then just go on the road teaching this
I
book.
hope so. And you'll only have to pay a small commission.
And the only difference is I'll say I came up with it. But
Of
no, I'm
course.
kidding around. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
You've been watching the Randy Alvarez Marketing Report. We'll see you next week.